There are two movies now I have the answers and nobody else does. Denis told me on Blade Runner, because I look inside of Harrison Ford's mind, I'm the only person that knows if he's the replicant or not. So he said that I can decide. So I have that secret now. And now with this movie, I have the secret to carry as well. The Thin Red Line. Wow, it brings back memories just hearing that name. I think about Terrence Malick, who is, a genius. And, he's a guy who made 2 movies and disappeared for 20 years, which you just got to respect, You got to respect anybody that just I'm going to go off and pursue some other interests and kind of just live life. I mean, I took about 6 years off, but I think 20 is that's real. I can't say I took 6 years off. I was doing other things. I was on tour mostly, but Terrence Malick is, he's made 2 of my favorite films. Many more than 2, but 2 of the seminal films that he made. One is called Badlands. The other one's called Days of Heaven. Both must-watch films for cinephiles and actors. And actually, I remember the audition for that, and it was maybe the worst audition I ever had. I walked in the casting office and they had a desk turned on its side, and we were supposed to kind of shoot, imaginary bullets at each other and pretend to be in a war, which I guess makes sense if you're auditioning for a war movie, but I just couldn't do it. I don't know. I just couldn't get with the program. And I stood up in the middle of the audition and, got sprayed by 1,000 imaginary bullets. And I just stopped and I said, I just can't. I don't know. I just felt too embarrassed. I was probably just too naive as an actor to pull that off in that room. Maybe I just wasn't, good enough or something. But I stopped in the middle of the audition, which is unheard of. And I actually I tapped out. I said, I can't do this. I'm not your guy. And for some reason or another, Terrence Malick called me up, and I think we had met actually before that, just kind of on a general meeting. And he wanted me to play this part in the movie.
We're all gonna attack abreast, 3rd platoon in reserve. We gotta cross those 3 folds of ground. You see? Once we get beyond that, we gotta attack that hill.
And the part that he wanted me to play was to be the first person to die. And he said, well, if I cast you and you die really early on, then everyone watching the movie is going to know that no one's safe. So that was, I don't know if he was just kind of, being nice, but that was, the role was important for him. When I was on set, there were these little leaves that if you touch them, these plants, they would close up. And I can't remember if it was me or another character, but I was right there. We were right near the camera. And I can't remember if it was my character or someone else was dying. I just remember he saw one of those leaves near the frame, and he was just reach out now, touch the leaf, and it closed as the character was dying. And then he went and shot extreme macro close-ups of the plant or something. I don't know if it's in the final film, but I just remember how aware he was of his surroundings, of nature. Fight Club. I remember when there was this rumor going around that they were making this really controversial book into a movie, and David Fincher was directing. And there was a time there, I didn't realize it was just a year after Thin Red Line, but there was a time there where there were really special films, kind of really edgy films that were challenging these, auteur type directors that were just doing some incredible work. So it was one that I really wanted to be a part of, and I lobbied to be a part of. And I remember bleaching my hair and my eyebrows white. We did one pass, and I think it was Brad Pitt was like, said something about Billy Idol. You know, he was like blonder, you know, so we went even whiter with it. I really enjoyed being on that set because I got to watch Brad, who's incredibly loose and naturalistic, you know, always does something a little different take to take, and that was interesting to see. And everybody on it just kind of felt like we were, you know, kind of getting into trouble and doing, you know, something that was potentially special, but, you know, on the darker side of the universe. Yeah, working with Fincher was just a dream.
Did you train a lot in fighting and prepare your body for that role, or did you kind of go in and just learn those moves?
No, I don't think we rehearsed very much at all from my memory. And it was supposed to be like you're fighting like you would fight, not like a professional fighter, I should say, like the character would fight. The only thing that wasn't real is we weren't actually hitting each other, but you did get hit at times. You know, it wasn't like it was perfectly choreographed. You know, it was real as real fake as you could get. Those fights were, you know, people were throwing each other all over the place. But it was a good one, man. It was really exciting.
It's under control, sir.
Where's Tyler?
Sir, the first rule of Project Mayhem is you do not ask.
Right,
Okay.
I had the prosthetics at the end, something I had never done before. I think it was the first time that I'd worn prosthetics. And I remember getting super claustrophobic. I fell asleep while they put this big life cast on me made out of plaster. I fell asleep and then for like 2 minutes and then woke up and I was inside this thing and I didn't know where I was. So I like started ripping it off, running down the street, and had a full-on just claustrophobic attack. Yeah, I avoid those. They're called life casts. I avoid those to this day. Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, Requiem for a Dream it's a big one for me personally, and you know, made such a big impact on my life and my career. It was just the 20th anniversary, which is really hard to believe. I was talking with Darren Aronofsky about it, and we just were like, wait, did someone get the dates wrong? This is just impossible. But yeah, life-changing experience. I remember we knew that like there was this young genius in town, Darren Aronofsky. He had made a movie called Pi. And there was a script floating around by, you know, Hubert Selby Jr. and Darren, and based on Hubert's book. And it was just absolutely, you know, stunning script, brutal, just a brutal read and heartbreaking, but, you know, something very, very special. And, you know, I fought really hard to be a part of that film. And, you know, Darren took a chance on me, and I'll always be so grateful for that. But yeah, I remember going to New York and living on the street and diving deep and really getting close to some of the folks that I met there that were living similar lives to Harry Goldfarb.
Hey, what would happen if we went down there to cop?
Are you serious?
Why not?
What the f are you saying? We supposed to walk up to some room clerk at some hotel and ask him for a connection?
Get with it. You telling me that you can't nose out some dope when it's around?
Man, we got nothing to lose.
It's wide open, and if we get there right away, we can name our own price, and we can sit back and be cool and have those f***ing fools scuffle the streets for us.
Jennifer Connolly, one of the greatest, and Marlon, one of the funniest, and Ellen, a legend. It was just really special. We all felt like, okay, this is an opportunity to see what we're made of, to push ourselves really hard. And I did go through a really intense body transformation for the role. My thought was I wanted the character to be in a place of constant, you know, starvation, of craving, of desire. And food was a great way to do that. I also, just from my own experience and education, knew that, you know, it would be a good physical representation of somebody that was living in that world at that time. Really unique because I think Darren demanded like 8 weeks of rehearsal or something, which is you never do. You know, you're lucky if you rehearse at all on a movie. And, you know, I think he was a little surprised when he thought, you know, he was encouraging us all to go deep. And when I went deep, I don't think he expected it to go that far, but it was a beautiful experience.
No?
No, she won't.
She'll come.
Yeah, I don't think there's no method in the world that could make your arm go away. But I mean, I guess there is. But yeah, I think there was a green, you know, there was a blue or green sleeve on it, and or there was some kind of a trick. I can't remember, but effective, I guess. You know. And it was just like that there were days that were just full of tears and pain, and other days that were full of hope and dreams. And Hubert Selby would always, I think he would say that the book was about the American dream and how that can be a drug in and of itself, a harrowing experience. I remember almost every moment of that film. It's funny how some things make such an impact on you. Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody is kind of my secret film. You know, most people never even heard of it. But there was a movie I made right before that, which maybe we should make a little special note of, called Chapter 27. Played a guy named Mark David Chapman who had the, you know, distinct badge of taking John Lennon's life. And I gained like 67 pounds, and it was a character study about this, you know, disturbed and disturbing person, and a very, very big physical transformation. When I look back at it, I wish maybe someone had stopped me and said, hey, no. Maybe like 20 pounds is good. Maybe get some prosthetics. But I went for it, and it was fascinating how that gaining that 60-something pounds changed the way that I walked, that changed the way that I talked, changed the way even that I laughed. Certainly I was unrecognizable. I remember running into Darren Aronofsky at some Oscar party, and I still hadn't shed the weight from the film. And I walked up to him at a party, and I was face to face with him. And this is a guy who knows my face really well, having directed it, but he didn't even recognize me. He said, can I help you? And I said, it's me, it's Jared. And then he just literally fell down on the floor. Like he slid down the wall onto the floor with his face in his hands. He could not believe that it was me. It was quite a fun party trick. But anyway, that's Chapter 27. Very, 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 very challenging, dark movie. But, you know, was a big step as far as the transformation and transformative approach to things. And Mr. Nobody, it's my European movie. It was made by a really beautiful team of collaborators in Belgium, but Jacob Van Dormeel was the director, and he's just a terrific talent. You know, quite a beautiful experience, really beautiful group of people. That's a film for the thinkers out there, the philosophers, I think. It's a heady one.
Can you tell me how old you are?
Oh, I'm 34. I was born February 9th, 1975.
Who are you?
I'm Mr. Nobody, a man who doesn't exist.
I played the oldest man in the world, 120-year-old man, or 120-something. And I play, you know, a dozen or so versions of the same person, all on, you know, parallel tracks, diverging and crossing. And when I played the old man, I really felt, you know, kind of at home in a strange way. It was a full prosthetics piece. I thought they did a really great job. It was a team out of Berlin. Yeah, I really got into playing the old man. That was quite funny. And he looked a lot like my grandfather. So I guess they got it right. It was many, many, many hours. And I wouldn't be able to do that again because I get pretty claustrophobic. And, you know, that was full head piece. I mean, that goes on and you're in it. You can't pull it off if you wanted to. So it's, yeah, it makes my palms sweat just thinking about it. Dallas Buyers Club. Well, it had been about 5 or 6 years since I made a movie, I think. And then I got the script, and I was on tour with 30 Seconds to Mars at that point. I really was so busy and things were going so well. You know, it was like, why am I going to get off this ride right now to go make a film? I wasn't in any hurry to make a film. Not to sound ungrateful, but my brother and I had worked for so many years. I mean, we were signed as a band in 1998, and we were making demos and playing music many, many years before that. So, you know, we had just finally started to get some traction. I think we started playing arenas just a year or two before that, all over the world. And it was just like this impossible dream had come true. So, you know, firmly entrenched in that world and focusing on that. And then the script comes along, and I just read it, and I just knew that it was something special. I fell in love with the character and the opportunity and the challenge, and, you know, the ability to kind of learn new things and to go on a brand new adventure.
Relax, I don't bite. I guess you're handsome in a Texas hick white trash dumb kind of way.
Get the out of here. Whatever you are before I kick you in the face.
Be asshole. You want to play cards?
You know, for me, what I remember are the people that were involved. I remember the time and the places. I remember being in New Orleans for Dallas Buyers Club. I remember, you know, the people that I met with that, you know, helped educate me and guide me and advise me and teach me, and that support and that love. I remember all of that as the most. You know, of course, there's a whole nother phase of that movie when it came out, and, you know, it was well received and we won awards. That's a whole other kind of aspect. But the making of the film was, again, immersive, transformative, and, you know, Jean-Marc Vallée, just a really brave filmmaker. And I knew Matthew was in a place where he was doing just really incredible work. So I felt happy just to be a small part of it, to be honest.
Okay, I'm taking you to the hospital.
No.
Rayon.
No.
Rayon, trust me. You need.
No! I don't want to die.
You're not gonna die. You're not gonna die. Now just trust me. Come on.
Is it really well to experience that weight loss and that kind of starvation and that physical and mental toll when you're playing these roles?
Yes, definitely. I don't know how you do it another way, but everyone has their own method. You know, I have mine, other people have theirs, and, you know, they to varying degrees, we all have our methodology. And I kind of shy away from the term method actor because it, I think, has taken on negative connotations. I always think of it, you know, my approach to acting, it's my job to do the best I can to help contribute in a meaningful way and to help tell the story, help bring a character to life, to be a pleasure to work with, to be kind and generous to my other actors. Like, all of that's part of the same bucket. And, you know, it's different people just have different approaches. And, you know, I think it's up to everyone just to do what they're comfortable doing to contribute in a meaningful way. I mean, people work so hard on movies, you know, directors, writers. 20 years that guy had the script for Dallas Buyers Club. and the producers and the studio, the people that invest the money, the crew, when you show up, I always think, wow, this is, I better not let anybody down. I do remember the process, though. I did lose so much weight. People started treating me different, which was good for the character and interesting and also surreal, even off the set. People, I guess I looked like I was, really ill, or probably looked like I was dying. It was interesting to see how people would deal with that. So that's something that you can't really imagine. You just have to experience it. Suicide Squad. Stepping into the Joker's shoes is like, it's an incredible opportunity. I guess it's this generation's version of like, taking on an infamous Shakespearean character. Lots of people played the part before. Lots of people played it in the future. So it's an opportunity to kind of, to do something new and to explore, challenging territory. And we had a lot of fun with it. But it's also interesting how this stuff all takes on a life of its own. But I never gave Margot Robbie a dead rat. That's not true. I actually gave her, a lot of, I found this place in Toronto that had great vegan cinnamon buns. And that was a very common thing.
What do we have here?
I did everything you said. I helped you.
You helped me by erasing my mind what faded memories I had. Oh. You left me in a black hole of rage and confusion.
Without the medicine you practice,
Dr. Quinzel.
What are you gonna do? You gonna kill me, Mr. J?
What?
I remember walking the streets of Toronto at night and, rehearsing my lines and going over things. There's a lot of pressure when you are part of those big movies. Just forget the character for a second. When you're part of these giant movies, they're inherently come with even maybe more responsibility. It feels like maybe it shouldn't, and that's maybe my fault to not try to filter that out. But I've done mostly smaller movies. I mean, Dallas Buyers Club was a $4 million movie. It's an experimental film in a lot of ways. Same with Mr. Nobody. It was a small independent European film. So that was like a step into a whole new world. But it was a lot of fun, and there was just a mutual kind of respect and support on the set, and just the feeling of camaraderie. I stayed a little bit separate because I felt my character was a little bit separate, but I really it was great to always hear all the laughter and the camaraderie that was in abundance on the set.
Blah, 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 blah. All of that chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
Oh, my God.
And the other thing I loved on that set was a lot of times I'm in darker films and I played darker characters. Certainly in Requiem, there wasn't a ton of laughter on the set probably. But what was fun with the Joker was, he said such outlandish things all the time. I could often hear the crew like stifling laughter, or the camera, if it was on the shoulder, would be shaking because people would be laughing. And that was really fun, just to kind of entertain the troops and play with humor. And that experience kind of, I think, is something that I carried with me in some of the other stuff that I've done. Blade Runner 2049. Ridley Scott, the original Blade Runner, one of my top films for me, just a genius movie. I fell in love with that movie on VHS as a kid and watched it over and over, and it taught me a lot about cinema and acting and set design and creativity. I remember getting the call, Neander Wallace, and I was like, okay. As soon as I saw that name on the script, I thought, wow, where do we go from here? This is amazing. But I can't believe I got to be in Blade Runner. I mean, for me, that's like, just, now I know I'm living in a simulation, for sure. Yeah, just incredible.
To preserve the clay is fascinating. Before we even know what we are.
I had these contacts made that were opaque, so I couldn't see, which was actually kind of great because I didn't have to get confronted with the problem of, acting like I couldn't see. I actually couldn't see. And I had a really wonderful teacher, a guy named Chris, who is blind, and an amazing coach. And we actually modeled my eyes in the film after his eyes in real life. And he was just a really special person. He's just a really special person. And, there's a lot of him in that kind of, in the physicality of that performance.
I have wanted to meet you for so very long.
You are a wonder to me, Mr. Deckard.
Working with Harrison Ford again, a dream. I couldn't see him, but that voice, and I remember reaching out, I had to hold his hand for a minute, and that was great.
I know you know something. Help me, and very, very good things can come to you.
You don't have children, do you?
Well, I have millions.
I'll tell you a quick anecdote from that. So we finished up the scene, long shoot day, very intense in this cavernous office. You could hear your voice echoing off the walls. And we did the scene a bunch of times. And it was my first day on set. We're finished up. And they kind of shuffled me off to the side, the AD did. And I was standing there alone, and someone comes up to me and wraps their arms around me and gives me this huge hug, very emotional hug. I'm not sure because I couldn't see, but I felt like there, may have been like tears flowing. And it was Harrison Ford. And it was a really special and beautiful moment. And, I think that he went somewhere really special in that scene. And I was so happy to be there with him, as he was putting such great work on the screen. The little things. Well, good old Albert Sparma. I'd be really happy if I saw someone dressed up as Albert Sparma for Halloween. That would be a fun one, right?
You must really like my car.
I do. How's the trunk space?
Again, it was incredibly transformational. It was a different eye color, different nose. I had some other prosthetics. I had different teeth. There was a walk, and there was a different way of speaking. And I really just wanted to bring to life a character that people hadn't spent time with before. And I felt like, Albert Sparma, from the name itself, you knew he was someone different. He's an outsider, a bit of a dark horse, and I wanted to explore that territory, and just dove in deep.
How's the trunk space?
I was so thrilled to be working with one of my heroes in Denzel Washington, the master, the GOAT. He is just terrific, and Rami Malek was just a phenomenal partner in this. you know, I think the three of us felt like there was an opportunity here, and we all just jumped in the ring with one another, and you know, it was explosive.